okay, that sudden chill when you're alone. Or, that fleeting sense maybe someone's watching. Have you ever had a moment like that? Made you wonder if there's, well, more going on than we see? Today, we're really getting into a feeling I think most of us know, even if we don't talk about it much, the fear of ghosts. We've got some great material here, an article that really tries to unpack this fear, why it's so common. Our mission, let's say, is to figure out why this feeling is so persistent, why it seems to cross cultures, and why it still pops up even now in our modern, supposedly rational world.
It really does have a powerful hold, doesn't it?
Oh,
And like the article points out, at its core, this fear, it's rooted in the belief that spirits of the dead might actually be, well, harmful,
hmm.
dangerous even.
Right.
And it connects so clearly to another really basic fear.
Oh, yeah, the dark, right?
Exactly, the fear of the dark, where, your imagination can just run wild with what might be hiding there.
Totally. And for some people, it's more than just a vague spookiness. The article mentions that when this fear gets really persistent, really intense, it can be classified as phasmophobia.
Phasmophobia.
Let's break that word down a bit. It's straight from Greek. You've got phasma, which means apparition,
Mm-mm.
and a phobia, which, well, we know that one fear. So literally the feel of apparitions of ghosts. And this isn't just some casual label. It's recognized as a specific phobia. And apparently it can often be linked back to stuff in early childhood or even trigger actual panic attacks.
Which is serious. And what's really interesting is how universal this seems, or at least very widespread. There's a quote in our source material from the philosopher Peter van Ingewagen that really jumped out at me.
Oh, yeah. What did he say?
Well, he basically admits that intellectually, rationally, even based on his own religious views, he doesn't believe in ghosts. But then he says, if he had to spend a night alone in a graveyard, he knows he'd be scared, jumpy at every little sound.
Wow. Yeah, that really hits home. It perfectly illustrates that gap, doesn't it, between what our rational brain tells us and that gut feeling, that deep reaction.
Exactly. It's not just about logic. And the sources we looked at really explore how these beliefs manifest across different cultures, different times. You see these traditional ideas about ghosts everywhere, spirits wanting revenge for something terrible that happened to them.
Or maybe they're just stuck here, unfinished business, that kind of thing.
Right. Or that. And their appearance was often seen as an omen, a sign something bad was coming. There's even that really creepy idea of the doppelganger seeing your own ghostly double. That was supposed to be a death warning.
Chilling. It does make you think, though, about justice, maybe. Or resolution, like these stories of vengeful ghosts. Maybe they reflect a kind of societal need for things to be put right, even after death. Some kind of cosmic balancing.
That's a really interesting angle.
Uh,
A desire for accounts to be settled, yeah. It's not just the ghost stories we might know from, say, Western culture. The article takes us somewhere completely different in the Amazon rainforest,
okay.
to the Wari tribe. They have this belief in something called Jima.
Jima.
Yeah, basically terrifying specters of the dead. And the description is intense. They're said to have these incredibly strong, cold, even poisonous hands, and they try to grab you to steal your spirit.
Whoa. That's a vivid picture. Strong, cold, poisonous hands. Pretty terrifying vision of the afterlife, or at least interaction with it, like the dead actively trying to harm the living.
It is. And what does a belief like that suggest about how they view death itself?
Good question. Maybe. Maybe a real anxiety about that line between life and death. Like it's not as solid as you'd hope.
Oh.
That the dead are actively trying to pull you across.
Could be. It definitely contrasts sharply with cultures where ancestors are seen as, benevolent protectors or guides.
Yeah.
This is much more adversarial.
Then there's another example, shifting gears again, from 19th century Papua. This account comes from a missionary. He talks about this really intense, pervasive fear of ghosts among the Papuan people he lived with.
Okay. How did it manifest?
Well, for one thing, they'd absolutely avoid going near graves at night. They thought the spirits were out searching for things. But the really wild part was this ritual he saw happen every night.
Every night?
Yeah. He described it as this absolute cacophony starting up from every house in the village, people yelling, screaming, banging sticks, throwing sticks. Just this huge noise.
Wow. Sounds pretty chaotic, like mass panic.
Well, yes and no. What's fascinating and what the missionary learned was the reason behind it. It wasn't just random noise or just letting off steam. It was deliberate.
As they were trying to drive the ghosts away.
Ah, okay. So
Yeah.
a purpose behind the noise. Exactly. Their logic was basically, look, we did the burial. We had the feasts, we gave the offerings, we've done our duty.
Mhm.
So this nightly uproar was essentially telling the spirits, go away, leave us alone, don't bring sickness, don't come fetching for us. And fetching apparently meant causing their death.
So it's almost like boundary setting with the supernatural.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. They're acknowledging the spirits might be around, but they're actively trying to manage that interaction, keep them at bay.
It really shows how deeply this idea of potentially harmful spirits was just woven into their everyday reality, their whole worldview.
Sure.
And when you look at these examples side by side, the vengeful spirits from folklore, the spirit-snatching Jima of the Waris, the demanding ghosts of Papua,
Hmm?
you start seeing this common pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
This recurring anxiety about death, sure, but also about the unknown and this feeling that the dead might still have power over the living, and often not in a good way.
So, wrapping this all together then, what's the big takeaway? We've seen the fear of ghosts can be a genuine psychological thing, phasmophobia, a specific phobia. But it's clearly way more than that, too. It's so deeply embedded in culture and stories all across the globe for centuries. And different cultures have found different ways to explain these apparitions, these feelings, and figure out what they might want, revenge, peace, whatever it is.
Exactly. And it's, I think, a pretty powerful reminder that even today, with all our science and rationality, these ancient fears, these old beliefs, they still have some kind of grip on us. It feels like they tap into something really fundamental about being human, being aware we're going to die,
Yeah.
and facing all the mysteries that surround that.
Right. So, as we finish up this deep dive, thinking about everything from, like you said, clinical phobias to these incredible cultural rituals and beliefs, it really leaves us with a question for you, the listener. Considering everything we know now, scientifically speaking, why do you think the fear of ghosts, still resonates so strongly? Is it just cultural baggage we carry around? Or does it maybe point to something deeper, something more profound about how we understand life and death and, well, everything we don't understand?